Boom, coming in hot, Chinchy. How we doing, cuz?
Coming in super hot. I'm having flashbacks to the postseason or the post-game show of Game 7 of the greatest World Series probably in history. And all of a sudden it started raining and we had to stop down and we worked for until 4 o'clock in the morning on this one night. But however, I do believe that the person we're having on tonight probably partied until about 4 o'clock in the morning, 7 days later. So I'm really psyched to hear you interview this dude who's a good friend of yours, right?
There's no doubt he did, too. There's no doubt he did. We're going to get to him really quick. 15 years in the show. Great buddy of mine. One of my favorite teammates, 2008. We played together with the Red Sox. Couple things here. Two-time World Series champ. Probably one of the biggest World Series ever in 2016 and 2013 with the Red Sox. It's always big when you win in Boston, especially with maniacs like Napoli and that crew, right? One of the biggest home runs in World Series history. Game 7 hit a bomb in 2016. Also, a big hit, Game 5 RBI double to win it, Rossy. I didn't know you were this good of a player when I did the research. Like, what the hell? I had no idea it was this legit. And to this day, right now, the manager of the Chicago Cubs, my good buddy, David Ross. What's up, Rossy?
What's up, Case? How we doing, buddy? That's a good intro, Bo. I wasn't a good player, but I got, they found the barrel. They found the loop every once in a while. You know what I mean? They threw it in there.
Well,
that catcher booty got behind it, and it did some damage. You know what I mean?
Hey, you hit Rossy. You hit him at the right time, dude. You know what I mean? When they hit the barrel, you're like, hey, it just happens to be Game 7 of the World Series. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
Jesus.
Right. That's right. Good timing. Really good timing.
Dude, so talk to me, brother. We've been trying to lock horns here for a little bit, but the David Ross, the circus act is just, you're all over the place, dude. You're freaking skiing. You're at Lester's place with Millar and these maniacs. How's your off season going, dude?
It is a circus, man. It just picked up. The holidays were slow, and then got the kids back in school, and I took off. Usually I go on a ski trip every year with a couple buddies. And we went out 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. And we were trying to connect our schedules. And I went skiing out in Beaver Creek, had a phenomenal time, went straight from there to Lester's retirement party right outside of Atlanta. And had way too many pops.
It looked like a good time, bro. It looked like a good time.
And then we went I came back home for about 2 or 3 days, and then we had organizational meetings up in Chicago and then Cubs convention. So just getting back home, slowing down. Spring training's right around the corner, back into dad mode for a couple of days, but I needed the break and so did my liver, that's for sure.
It's so great, dude. It's so great, man. I want to stay right there, Rossy, because I know that feeling of well, first off, is the feeling different as a manager than it was as a player? Because right now you're like, okay, middle of January, pitchers and catchers 3 weeks away. I remember as a player, I'm like, I start getting the feeling like, oh man, that stress starts coming on. You're like, oh, it's going to get real now. These off-season workouts are turning into the things that really matter here soon. As the manager, man. Are you feeling that?
Yeah, for sure. I think when you first start as a player, you start to hit in December. I don't know when you started, but you kind of work out all off season. You start to hit a little bit and it kind of builds up. And, the anxiety of, the season's not quite there yet, but you always have that, am I prepared? Have I done enough? I still get that. Cubs convention was this past weekend and me seeing all the players and then getting back, just, you get that hunger back in your soul of I can't wait to get out there, but also am I ready? Have I done enough? Have I checked all the boxes? There's a lot more planning that goes into it from the manager's seat, and all my coaches do a phenomenal job. But there's definitely that anxiety of man, it's here, it's coming. Have I done everything? I talked to Brian Snitker and I, my first season, when I got the job, I talked to him and started going over spring training. And the one thing that stood out to me was he goes, Rossy, every year I go into spring training, I feel like I'm not ready. So I guess I'm in a good spot because I'm starting to feel that feeling already.
It's so good, dude. It's so good. At Cubs convention, man, I saw the guys there. I saw Dempster doing his off the mound stuff. He's got you up there and Hap and Jed Hoyer and all those guys. And, you guys have made a couple big splashes. You signed Dansby Swanson, which I think that's a great sign. Bellinger, I mean, hopefully, if he could bounce back, that would be huge. Tyon in the rotation, Hosmer, obviously Hap's your one guy. When I looked at your lineup last year, Rossy, I go, who can beat me? Oh, Hap. I feel like
Right.
I felt like, at least from my point of view, Nico Horner, nice hitter. You know, you got Patrick Wisdom, some good players, but Hap was the one guy I felt that could beat you. You're looking at some of these the signings that you've had this offseason as the manager now. Like, what's your feeling of the lineup that you're going to be able to throw out there now?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, Case. It's like, a couple established guys that are really good baseball players. Obviously, Dansby and his resume, World Series champion, Bellinger, World Series champion, Gold Gloves all over the place. Tucker Barnhart, former Red. I know
That's
you're
right.
big in the Cincinnati community, man. Like, and he's got a Gold Glove. Trey Mancini,
That's right, Trey
coming.
Mancini.
Yeah, Trey's coming. That hadn't been announced yet. I don't know when this is dropping, but
No, it's
we'll
announced.
get,
It's announced.
okay, good. All right. I know too early, so then I
Yeah.
check out like 4 and 5 times. So, but yeah, we've got real baseball players. Like you said, Hosmer. A couple of these guys got to have bounce back seasons. I mean, I think Belly's put real work in, and he's a real presence. He's going to be able to bring his glove and defense and base running every single day. If the bat pops up, it's real thump at least, and you start to move guys like Wisdom down the order a little bit, and like you put them in the 7-8 hole. When we played Atlanta last year, I just remember Adam Duvall being in the 7 hole, and it's like, wow, this guy's got 25 pumps in the 7 hole, like that. That's danger at the bottom, even though there's some swing and miss in there. So we've got baseball players. The baseball IQ for us went up really, really high. Our defense is going to be solid. I think our pitching, Jameson Tyon, is going to really impact us, make us deeper, and the young guys we have coming continue to grow. Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson, they're coming, man, and these guys are if they continue to grow like they have this past season. I like our chances, but you're right. The lineup's definitely deeper, and I think Seiya Suzuki didn't get a full season under his
That's
belt.
right, Suzuki.
When he's healthy, man, he's a real at bat. He controls the strike zone. He's got power to all fields. He's Gold Glove caliber in the outfield. Like there's a lot to like about him, and I think he'll sneak up on you. And obviously Happer, throwing in there a guy that's just been a staple last couple years.
What about Swanson, man? Like, why did you guys end? Why was he the key figure? Why the 7-year deal, the big money for Dansby Swanson?
I think like he's a winner, right? And getting more people on your roster that just know how to win. There's a big, we were in the market for all 4 shortstops, and who fits in years, who fits in where we're at in this moment, and you get the Trey Turners who go out and get the $300 million contracts for a team that just was in the World Series. Like you can pay that money to me if you're ready to win right now. I thought Dansby was a nice fit for us and somebody we targeted and really thought because of his age, his position, what he's bringing every single day, the impact of that. And we had more holes to fill than just one. We had multiple holes to fill. So I think our front office, try to balance impact players and dollars spent and looking at being good for a really long time. It's nice to put, by adding one guy, we got better in 2 positions by moving Nico over to second base. He's gold glove caliber at short. He has been in that mix at second when he played second when Hobby was still here. We've got up the middle with Belly and those 2 guys. We've got, real good caliber defense that we haven't had in a few years.
Rossy, I'm interested, with all the guys that you have in that lineup and mixing and matching, the way that managers it just seems like it's a different animal nowadays with you guys as managers in the game and the analytics and the front office relationship. And so I guess my question is like, are there certain analytics that David Ross gets down from the top and he goes, okay, these are 2 or 3 things that I really weigh on heavy preparing for a game?
It's such a balance. It's a lot of conversations, Kate. It's you're looking at your standard, OPS, you're looking at your WOBAs, the stuff that's coming down, the weighted numbers. But it's a lot of balancing long-term season over short-term success. Who's hot now? Who's swinging the bat better lately? Who's struggling as of late? Where the matchups are, especially when you're handing a bullpen, like, pitch characteristics matter, swing path. I'm big into swing path stuff, like, low ball hitters and bringing a carry 4 guy in, whether, different stuff like that, is how we try to look at it. And
what's a carry 4 guy?
Like a true like a guy that has jaw, like a Kimbrel, right? That the balls get spin rate, right? Like ball getting above the barrel, where I was like more down. Like if you threw me a sinker, you were doing me a favor. I got over to the American League and the Red Sox, and they start throwing 97 at the top of the zone, and I was punching 4 times a night, buddy. Like so, just there. Some of our guys that so even some of our players trying to match those guys up when we've got, the Adam Wainwrights that's going to try to cut and sink and, keep you off balance. I want his mistake to be damage, not just a guy that he's not going to give up, 4 or 5 hits in a game, but he will make mistakes. He's a pretty good pitcher. So finding the guys that match up really well is important. I think more and more we find, and this is the one that I struggle with the most, is like, how much do you let the left-hander that struggled against lefty continue to face lefties because that locks them in? Like it's a really hard one, man. It's a hard one from a manager's seat. If you have somebody that has a better skill set that just rakes left-handed pitching, but also, protecting those guys that don't as much, and whether you're protecting them or doing them a disservice, I don't really know. But you try to measure it as best you can. I have the conversations, and the way I put it to some guys, it's not that I don't think you're good at it, just as we have somebody that's better on the roster at it, so all our competitive juices, say, screw you. I'm at the big leagues. I know what I'm doing, and that's the tough part about the manager's seat. Every time I got pinch hit for, I used to kid with John Lester. It's like, if you stink and get taken out of the game, so do I. They pinch hit for me. But, if we're winning, I'm fine. But I like the, no matter how many times I got pinch hit for in my career, it pissed me off every single time. But I probably was what's best for the team a lot of the times, with guys that could hit the heater or hit fastballs or closer type guys. And I had to be okay with that. So I just try to communicate with guys as best I can and use the information and the history. And it's a constant moving target sometimes of just like setting guys up for success and having conversations with them.
Well, Rossy, I want to ask you that because I don't know what I would have done if I had a couple bad games against lefties, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, Case, we're gonna play a righty tonight because and I knew I always say, how do lefties hit lefties? You got to play against them.
Yeah.
And so, like, sure. I see the game nowadays, man, with a lot of the platoons and, hey, this guy versus righty, this guy versus lefty. Like, and in your situation, too, as a matter of fact, I saw it when you guys signed Trey Mancini. I thought right of Hosmer. Okay, is Hosmer all of a sudden just a righty guy? Mancini's splits against lefties and righties are pretty much identical. Where does Patrick Wisdom fit in, every once in a while? Like, so how do you handle something like that? Because a guy like Hosmer, he's an everyday guy. He faces lefties and righties. Will you match him up sometimes if you have to?
I think the main thing, Trey DH a lot, and Trey's actually had hit righties better last year than he did lefties. So it's like you look at, you got 2 first basemen there, and they're righty lefty, but I think Hosmer's going to play a good amount when I need a day off. The one thing about Wrigley, and I don't want to get off track because I got other thoughts in my head. But one thing about Wrigley, we have so many day games. It's like you have to kind of rotate some stuff. The one thing I'll say about platoon is if you have an everyday, like Cody Bellinger's playing every single day, right? Like he's lefty, he's going to face lefties. I'll try to find him a day off against a guy that dominates lefties, right? Like that's where I'll do that for Haas as well. I'll try to mix and match that. But when you have everyday players, you can just roll those guys out there, kind of like Atlanta does. It feels like they have the same lineup almost every single night. Yeah. I think the other thought there is, like, I think when you have a Dansby at short and a Belly in center and Happer, Seiya and Haas, when you have your big money guys that are going to be your everyday players, when you're trying to find, like, third base right now for us, like, Wisdom's there. We also have a guy, Zach McKinstry, who got in a trade with the Dodgers last year. We've got some options at third that, like, okay, it's more of a, let's try to fill this hole with 2 pieces that might be a little less expensive then, and so it could be a true platoon over there, and Wiz could move to first at times to give, or to DH to get, to mix and match what's going on at first, and how those matchups are. But I think a lot of the matchup stuff has come from either a long history of not hitting lefties, or just as far as like filling a hole with two bats and not having to pay a whole lot for that spot because of budget stuff.
Yeah, dude. It's also interesting because obviously you're kind of we're from the same era, a little bit like, you're obviously a little younger than me, but you played a couple, more years where the numbers started to matter. And I think that the numbers always mattered. I mean, even when my last year was 2008. You still got the reports. You still got, and you had to pick out which ones to use and which ones not to use. I find it fascinating now that you're a manager. And I think back to that 2008 team. In our dugout was you, Cora, and Cash. You guys are three of the best managers in the game, and we were all on the bench together. Why the hell am I not managing?
Hey, I know one thing. You could get a job in baseball anytime you want it, buddy. You're enjoying doing podcasts from home and MLB Network. You're killing it. I tell you what, I look back on, it's the same thing with the Dodgers. Me, Cora, Dave Roberts, and Robin Ventura were all on the same. Remember when Robin managed in Chicago and for the White Sox? So, yeah, man, I think it's like, the old school, the way we were, there's a balance, Case. Like there really is about, and it's about talking to guys and seeing what works for each guy. And sometimes it's like, I'm the manager, I make the final decision, but I'd like to be collaborative with everybody and try to find out what works best. And at the end of the day, I'm going to make the moves I need to make. And as long as I communicate to those guys, and, I've learned too, like I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I own to my mistakes. I've taken guys out too early that I've, brought in guys and other guys give it up. And like I do stuff. I just try to continue to learn from the moments and talk to the players and do the best I possibly can by the organization and what's best for the team. And then, obviously the players have some input in my office and come and discuss whatever they want. But yeah, man, I think it's a balance for me of like trusting your eyes and what you see and the history of a guy. Sometimes things, everybody comes into new swings, new mechanics, new ideas, new feelings every single season. I always say, it doesn't matter what you did last year or the last 5 years. Like this year is all that matters in baseball. And like you work on new, unless you had a career like you had, pretty consistent hitter. I went into every offseason tinkering with my swing, tinkering with new hand positions, how I loaded, how I started, and that stuff, kind of took me throughout the season. So each season's unique, and I don't think it's ever should be like if you have a couple bad games against lefties or righties, it's like it's more historical based and what guys struggle with. If a guy struggles with a lefty on lefty slider and a guy's got a banger slider, maybe it's better to pinch hit, bases loaded, 1 out, and the 8th with the highest leverage spot of the game. Maybe that's the guy I'm going to have to say, hey, big moments. I'm going to have to pinch hit for you, which is a terrible conversation to have, and terrible feelings. Sure. I know what it is, but part of the job, buddy.
Yeah, dude. What guy? You've played for some great managers, bro. You really have throughout your career. I went up and down. What managers for you do you see come out in you sometimes in that dugout?
I think my favorite manager was Bobby Cox. Bobby was the best. I got to play for Tito, but not for very long with you. Right. Watch how he handles stuff, like how he's laid back and he's pretty, chill, and everything's just, everything's going to work out. We're going to be better than you. Let's just play hard and be part of the boys. Joe Madden's got a lot of like the things that I do in spring training and off the field, some of the stuff that's like more relaxing, and like there needs to be life outside of baseball, and it's not just like grind it 24/7. I think he had a real knack for, obviously he was a great manager, but has a real knack for like the personal side of that I really stood out to me as I was a veteran. But even like the old school Jim Tracy guys that like, bunt
I played for Trace.
Over.
I played for Trace too in Pittsburgh. I love Trace, man.
Yeah, love Trace. He taught me baseball, and we had a really good pitching staff in LA, and we had a lot of guys that could play defense. Isturis and Cora up the middle, Beltre on the corner, Sean Green played right. We had but we weren't scoring a lot of runs. We had a great pitching staff, and Nomo, Kevin Brown, Paul Shuey, Quantrill, Gagne was on the back of that thing. It's like, we're going to try to beat you one run at a time. And like getting guys, the old school, bunting them over, get them in kind of mentality is anytime you can. I still value that to my core. I know it's not, if I have, Schwarber, Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, I ain't bunting those guys. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're playing for the freaking home. We're playing for the 4-run homer, as Dempster would say. But it's just about how your team's made up and what they show you. And I think, managing, there's all these philosophies you can have, but if you have a bullpen that doesn't punch guys out, you got to handle them differently. Or you have a lot of 1-inning guys, you have multi-inning guys, you have a roster that doesn't have a lot of speed, you're not going to run. Different things like that. It's just you got to find out how your roster shapes out and where you want to take your risks.
Dude, I'm interested how you look at the new rule changes. Being that your boy Theo probably had a big influence on all of them. But we just did it the other night on MLB Network. Dan O'Dowd and I did a demo on what the 15-second pitch clock looks like. So the new rules are a pitcher has 15 seconds to deliver the ball with nobody on and 20 seconds when he's on. And the batter's got to be in the box to address the pitcher with at least 8 seconds to go. There's bigger bases, they're 3 inches bigger, and the shift is getting eliminated. So as a manager, I'm really interested to think, what do you think of these rule changes?
Well, the shift stuff, you're still going to push the envelope as far as you can, right? That is what it is. I'm glad that's why we got Nico and Dansby. It's like we're going to be really athletic up the middle, and I think that's going to be great for our sport. We're going to see just the athleticism that these guys have. It's going to be on display a lot more often. The bigger bases, I've heard, I had some conference calls and some meetings with our minor league managers and talked through them. He's like, there is some bang bangs now, and it's feels like a lot more safe than out. So, and the pick rules, only picking twice. And if you do it a third time, it's a balk if you don't get them. There's a lot of intricacies within that. And I think there's going to be tendencies. My main thing is like that I've got our guys set out and practicing already is like that cadence. We all have a cadence to the game, right? Once you step in the box, you had your routine. It's hilarious. We could all run through you stretching your hip and popping your hip and the back coming up. You know what I mean? Like we all know what Sean Casey does before every at bat, right? That's just going to have to speed up or get sacrificed down. That's going to have to come down to what everybody does and what are those tendencies that we have. But I think mentally, I'm getting off track. Mentally, it's going to take a toll if you get frustrated or you handle it, right? Like you have to find your cadence within that. And everybody's going to tinker with those rules and try to find advantages within that. The main thing we have to do is know what we do well, have practiced that, and understand how to handle that adversity when it comes. If a guy pitches us, I think everybody's going to have their own tendencies, and let's pay attention to those. If there's advantages within that, I want to be able to take it. I want to be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I almost feel like as a hitter, you have to be more efficient. Like, sometimes you take a bad swing, you step out. What am I swinging at? Like, there's no time for that anymore. Like, you got to get your thoughts together, get your breath, get back in the box, and get ready to go. So I don't know. I was talking about the other night, and I thought, you know what? I think it might be a good thing for hitters. It's just going to make them more efficient with their thoughts to get back in and get ready to rip.
Well, you hit it on the head, and as much as this game we talk about physical attributes, there's so much mental that we have to be okay with and comfortable with. Getting in the box and getting their mind right, getting their thoughts right, getting what's my attack plan. He just threw me a slider away. I have to process that. He sank me in, slider away, 2 strikes. Is he going to climb the ladder on me? He's going to have me chase under. Like all those things that maybe I thought you probably just get in there like, I want to rake you. You know what I mean? I was like, what's he doing next? I had my catcher brain. But like those are the mental toughness and the mental the strength to process your routine really fast and your thoughts and simplify, right? Simplify is like what I want to do everything as your manager, because I want the athlete to shine and not have any restrictions on them when they get on the field and play.
Yeah, I love that. Simplify, simple. It's just such a tough game. I think sometimes it's just the more simple you can get. The Manny Ramirez type. I don't know what I'm doing. Bam! There's a rock
Bam,
up the right center.
right. Well, that was Joe's thing. Joe's thing was like do simple better, and it's like anytime I can simplify the bunt plays, the first and thirds, the
Right.
bait, what we're thinking on the base running, what our plan of attack is. Like it's like just I want them. Here's our base. Like we're fundamentally here's our floor. Right.
Right.
We're gonna this is how we're gonna be in everything we do. We're gonna be fundamentally sound. We're gonna run the bases this way. We're gonna have this type at bat. This is what the Cubs way is, and make that extremely simple. And then each individual like puts that into their skill set. I don't think Dansby Swanson needs to change who he is when he comes over to the Cubs. It's like these are the things I value. These are things that are important to me. Now you go be you.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love it. Rossy, I'm fired up for you this year, man. I think it's going to be a great Cubs team. I'm super excited about it, dude. And like I said, people always ask me, hey, what team do you root for? I said, I root for my buddies. And I root for you, dude, and my Cora, Cash, all of you guys, dude. It's going to be a great year for you. I want to go back to you as a player now, brother, because you've had an incredible career, man. You really have. I mean, I'm sure you'll look back, maybe even when you're done managing, and be able to look back as a player and go, wow, that was incredible. I want to stay with the Cubs before we get into the Red Sox a little bit because we're here. And I want to just go back to that 2016 team, man. Just what are some of your most memorable moments of that year? And just, take us back to what it was like playing with Rizzo being young and Bryant and Baez and those guys, and you being Grandpa Rossy. It was just kind of a fun last year for you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks, Case. That means a lot coming from you. It's hard to ever think about, I self-deprecate like I was a backup catcher, career 220 hitter. I was on some really special teams and got to do
a big part of them too. A big part of them.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. And being on that journey, man, going back, I think 15 and 16 and coming over there with Johnny bringing me over to Chicago and being his guy and bringing a lot of the things that we learned in Boston about winning, until you win the World Series, you don't know really what it feels like or what you had to do to get there or till, like it's this kind of mythical thing. And to be a part of that with Dustin Pedroia, David Ortiz and Knapp and, the list goes on, Victorino, Ellsbury, Johnny Gomes, like Salty. I mean, Stephen Drew, like I don't want to miss anybody, but Bogey was on that team. Until you do that and know what the lunch pail mentality of what we did every single day and brought it to work, that kind of grinder mentality and how you need to go about your business, you don't know. So being able to bring it to that Chicago with Johnny and what winning looks like are still things that I pull from today as a manager. And coming over to such a, me and Riz go way back. We got the same agent. We were doing I was doing ESPN and he was in there doing a series of a bunch of the shows. They called it a car wash. And he came in and we had lunch because we had the same agent. And he just, asked me a bunch of questions before I signed there. And he told me later, the story goes, he just called Theo. It's like, we got to have this guy. We got to have this mentality, this kind of thing. And like, not to toot my own horn, but like we hit it off really early as far as like what winning looks like and what baseball, a good baseball team carries themselves every single day. So playing with those guys, man, especially my last year when I knew I was shutting it down and going into the season. I mean, they started the Instagram Grandpa Rossy thing. I remember sitting at dinner with KB, Dex, and Dexter Fowler, Chris, and Riz, and we were at Steak 44 and
wait, best steakhouse in the freaking world. Best steakhouse in the world.
We were crushing it, and it was dessert came, and they're like something about the gram, on the gram, and I'm like, what is this like Insta? I called it Insta Snapper because it's Snap thing, or I don't remember what I called it, but the old guy. And so the next day I show up, and he's got an Instagram account started for me. And it's got like 30,000 followers within like 24 hours, bro. It was like, what is this? What are we doing? So they started following me around, making fun of the old guy. And they got me this little like grocery cart scooter to scoot around in. And it was just a lot of fun. It was like, we knew we were good. We were expected to win the World Series. And, it was all lighthearted and fun. And some of the things that stood out to me that year, spring training was a lot of fun. there's a lot of moments that I had personally. There were some highlights for me. I remember, Ryan Dempster in 13, he was contemplating retiring, and I saw him take advantage of like road trips and going to restaurants or going to, hanging with the boys late one night. We're all going to go do something together. And like, I remember how much fun it looked like he had. And I took that in from a perspective of like, man, I went into Philly. I'd never gone down and got a cheesesteak, like I went down to the Rocky Steps. We were in New York and had an off day. I took a bunch of our staff out on a helicopter ride around downtown, over the city and New York City. So I did that everywhere and made sure I, took advantage of things. And so it stood out to me. My last game at home, Sunday Night Baseball, Cardinals, I hit a big home run, got like 3 standing ovations, and Joe Madden took me out before he took Lester out, and I got another standing ovation. Just like a lot of cool. It caught no hitter for Jake Arrieta in Cincinnati. Like, man, there's just this ride I was on all the way up to like the playoffs and World Series. Obviously, like it's all well documented, but like I just was along for the ride with a lot of these guys, and just a small piece to this big puzzle.
Can I interrupt with one question, Sean? I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
you guys
Chinch.
are killing it, but I just from a human perspective, you are a baseball player and you are some form of a celebrity, and now you're in a World Series and you're playing for the Cubs, and then all of a sudden, there's a whole other side thing that was going on with you where, like, when Eddie Vedder is doing the 7th inning stretch and your name gets called and Bill Murray is talking about Grandpa Rossy, and all of a sudden you had this, like, I'm just going to ask, like, how did you compartmentalize that celebrity that was happening, and like all of a sudden, like, you're front and center, and you've been, like you said, you were a backup catcher your whole life, and now you are the face. You were the face of that World Series, whether you liked it or not. How difficult was it to play the baseball games with all of a sudden all of this strange uniqueness coming upon you? I'm sorry if that's a deep question.
Yeah,
but
no. Great question. I think, like, one, you don't really know what's happening until you step back, right? You recognize that I was just being myself, right? Like the one thing I say about that 2016 group that I almost get when I'm really, we're on a radio show, but like in person, and like when I really start pouring my feelings out about these guys, it's like the things that happened to me it wasn't because I was in the media singing my praises. That's not who I am. I'm not like, look at me, look what I do, look at my leadership, look at this. I just was being myself, and my teammates said a lot of nice things to people about me. And so as much as, and Case played with me. I mean, Case was one of my mentors, and I didn't play a whole lot in 08, but like I went and ate wings with Case, and he took me under his wing.
First conversation, Chinch. First conversation. Rossy gets picked up at the end of August. We're sitting there. I think we're in Texas. We're in Texas. Never forget. And me and Rossy are on the bench. We're just kind of watching the game, enjoying life. And I knew it was my last year too, so I was trying to be like, okay, this is just meeting new guys. It's cool. And Rossy said, hey man, you had just come from Cincinnati with Dunner and the boys.
Yeah.
And Rossy's like, hey Case, he's like, man, first thing he says, like, not you're a really good hitter. He's like, hey, man, I heard you eat wings better than anyone else in the big leagues. And I said, yeah. So I said, you want to go have some wings tonight and a couple pops so we could bring it in? And we did. It was incredible.
We watched a UFC fight at a little wing place in Texas, and we beat the crap out of Texas, I think. So it was, but like. I've been around a lot of good people, and I've been, like, Brian McCann's one of those guys where my teammates, my best friends, but also a mentor of like just how he treated people, made other people feel. So when I felt that, I tried to change a little bit of like how I made just checking in with others. I was a backup catcher, and so part of my role turned into like leadership and checking in on guys. And and then when I got to Chicago, it's just because I'd seen how winning was, and so I called out the bullshit, right? And made sure these guys knew what was expected. And then it turned into like, I got a lot of praise for that. But if you ask my teammates, I'm not always the nicest guy in the way I deliver that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it isn't always like nice guy. But I do the reason why I get so emotional is because in all that, in all my emotions and being a jerk sometimes and trying to lift those guys up, it's like those guys are the ones that took the message that I was given and turned that into a positive. They're the one that took that and saw the love that I was trying to project and on them and trying to make them better or help in a way. And instead of being like Rossy's a this or that, they took it the right way. And so it says more about the character of that group than it does about me. But the Eddie Vedder thing was insane. Like what is that, right? Like there's so many things I'm just like, how did this just happen to me? But he's up there giving that World Series 7th inning stretch, and the things he said, you may be retiring, but you'll never give up, you'll never quit, you'll always be in our hearts, all that. Like, what? This is like a rock and roll Hall of Famer.
It's crazy.
But he's a guy that he's the most down to earth celebrity I've ever been around. The guy will invite you over, comes to hang in the locker room, wants to talk baseball, wants to talk life, still texts me. He'll be in Hawaii sometimes. He's got my Catch and Scully with a number 3 on it, and he'll send me a picture in the pool with his kids with it. It's just like he's a great human. And so, like, did it shock me he said my name? Yes. But like the next time I saw him, I gave him a big hug, was like, Ed, you're the best, man. Like, that was amazing. Thank you so much for that moment. Like, I'll never forget that. And so, and then, like he does, the poetry starts coming out of his mouth. He starts saying nice things. But a lot of cool moments for sure. Thanks for reminding me of that.
Rossi, speaking of Eddie Vedder and just some great times, man. One of the coolest dinners I think I ever had was when you, me, Hap, Jim Thome, Rizzo, Vedder, and Chris Chelios had dinner. Like, what was that about? That was about 3-4 years ago, bro. At Steak 44. What we were talking about.
It was at 44. It was at 44. That was an amazing. I've never laughed and smiled so hard for like 2 hours. My face hurt the next day. I got 11. Thought I went to a comedy club. Like, we were talking hitting, we were talking winning, we were talking life. We were like telling jokes, telling stories. I remember that's the first time I'd ever like really hung out with Thome. What a great human being he is, bro.
The greatest.
What is it about great hitting first basemen that they're just good dudes, dude? Like you, him, Riz. Like, I mean, Happer was just a young buck at that time, and like we had so much fun, man. And then that, and obviously Chelios has got stories for days.
Oh, dude,
that was a good spring training dinner for sure. I think I was in like 18 or 19 when I was a special assistant.
Yeah, that was a great, dude. What a great time that was. It was so great. Take us back though that year, bro, to Game 7. What are your memories of Game 7?
Oh, man, I remember, well, it starts in the morning. I woke up and my wife at the time and 2 kids, only had 2 kids at the time. And, the other one had just been born. My little one had just been born, but she didn't travel. My son got sick. So I wake up Game 7, and Joe had told me the night before I would come in at some point. Lester was going to come in and he'd bring me in. And so a little bit nervous on that, right? Last game of my career. My wife at the time was just like on edge too, like, this is the last time we're doing this, blah, blah, blah. And my son's just puking everywhere all morning. So it's like, I was like a little bit of like, is this really happening right now? But when I finally left to head to the field and locked it in, I remember putting on my headphones and walking to the field in Cleveland and getting in, and like, everything was the same, man. Like, these guys are playing Mario Kart, and like, guys are asking me how I'm doing because it's my last game and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, how am I doing? How about you guys lock it the fuck in? We're trying.
Get your shit together. We got a game to win.
Get it together. We got Game 7. Like, there's not another one after this. Turn off Mario Kart. But it speaks to how relaxed our guys were. And, I was like, enough about me. Who cares about me? I'm not even starting. Like, we'll worry about my career when this game's over. Let's win this game. So, that lead up to like your last time in the cage, John Maley like came and just spoke such nice words about how much fun and joy it was to work with me, and like how, just a lot of nice things. And like, as well as I do, Case, like, when another man tells you their feelings, like, I don't know, that hits me differently. We don't tell each other how much we love each other a lot and what we appreciate about each other. And so like that those moments stand out to me. And then the game starts and it's just this crazy thing, and I'm trying to stay ready in the pen. And you know, I remember coming back down, and Lester had been up twice, and Kipnis spots come up, and you know, Joe was asking me how he looked and what I thought, and we were having good conversation. Joe was very inclusive, and you know, going through that whole, I remember everybody really excited. We're up a lot of runs, and I'm just like, okay, you know that moment, like it's baseball, like keep it together, bro.
Yeah.
Don't celebrate, don't check out. We've all done it. If you've competed long enough, you've checked out, like, oh, we got this. And then you get
it's the worst.
guilty.
Yeah.
So I mean, it almost happened. Thank God we came back. But yeah, then I go on the game. Well, then I get in the game. First thing I do is like, you know, throw a Kipnis swinging bunt. I throw it to the stands. So almost kill our first baseman, who freaking ends up getting a huge knock later. And then ball in the dirt, it hits off my mask. I trip over my ankle. I fall down. 2 runs score. Welcome to the World Series, Rossy. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God.
You're supposed to be run prevention, and 2 runs have scored since you've gotten in here. So, anyways, I remember Lester coming in and sitting in the dugout and looking at me like dumbfounded. I'm like, bro, you're throwing the ball great. I screwed that up. Like, let's just relax. You're throwing the ball great, stuff sharp. Don't worry about it. And then I had that at bat, and remember, like, okay, lock it in. Andrew Miller. You know, I had done some homework on him. He had shaken a lot. I knew Andrew from Boston, and I'd played against him a lot when he was the Marlins. And, you know, I had some success off of him when he was throwing like 91, 92. Then he got to Boston throwing 98, just punching tickets, right? Like, not the same guy. And so I had just done, I was like, oh, if I get to face somebody, it might be Andrew and some of my video stuff. And I just remember him shaking a lot to fastball. And then I thought through that as a catcher, it's like, surely I'm calling slider too, right? Like, it's the best pitch in baseball when it's on. So I fouled off I got to 0-2, and he threw me a heater away. And the first 2 sliders, I feel like I didn't even see. Then he threw me a heater away. I was like, oh, I saw that one. Okay. And then I'm like, he's throwing me another slider. And he shook to heater, threw it down where I like it, and just 2-strike approach, just touched it, and it never. I do remember Rajay Davis is going back, and I'm like, if this guy robs this homer, I'm gonna murder him. I'm gonna run right out the right field gate if he robs this, and I'm not coming back, because I just let 2 runs in, and I thought I just went deep, and Rajay brought it back, but luckily it went out, and I just remember running around the bases. It was already like I was thinking about the next hitters I was trying to get at. I couldn't even enjoy the moment, because it's just like I was on to what's next, man. It's on to what's next.
Isn't that what? So what next? What's next happened? Rajay Davis hits that 3-run home run, and I was at the game. The place almost comes down in Cleveland, literally. Like rock. When that happened, can you take us back to that pitch? You know, the swing, and just what happened? Yeah,
well, I was calling a lot of heat. I think I threw like something like 17 heaters in a row. Like looking back on it, I'm like, wow, that's probably a little aggressive, Rossy. But you know, bad pitch calling by me for sure. But I just kept seeing like, okay, it's Aroldis, it's 100. You know, like back then, like nobody was throwing that hard, and Rajay was 0-2, and he was choked up. I kept looking at him. He's like choked up, literally like almost about 8 inches on the bat, and I'm just like, this ball's not going anywhere. You know, thinking like, just he's going to put it in play, we'll be fine. I'm not throwing a slider to speed up his bat. And I remember our scouting report said, I still actually have the scouting report, my little wristband. It's pretty cool to look through that. But it said, you know, sliders to chase. They had to be underneath. So I threw him another heater, and he drops the head on it, and it goes out. And I'm just like, I've been in a lot of moments. We both played a lot of games. Not too much rattles me, right? It's like, shoot, oh, well, on to the next pitch. And I just was back there like, what just happened? Like,
oh my God,
what just happened? You know, like it just was like silent and we had so much momentum, and it was back. And it, like you said, the place was, it was so loud, you only could hear your own thoughts, right? That's how loud it was.
Right. It was so loud.
It's so loud. So we get out of that, and I'm leading off the next inning. I end up working a walk. They pinch ran for me, and I was out of the game. And then the rain came,
Yeah.
And Miggy was in the game. Miggy came in. Aroldis threw another inning, which a lot of people don't realize. Threw another inning, threw a ton of sliders, got out of that, and then the rain came. And what I remember about that was like, okay, Jay Hay was just going around. Hayward was going around going like, hey, players only meeting in the weight room, which in Cleveland's right there.
Right.
And I was like, all right. And we start to head in there, and Aroldis wasn't in there. So I was kind of herding everybody, and I was right by the door, and somebody said, where's Chappie? So I went back in the dugout. He's got his hands in his head crying, head in his hands crying.
Right.
And I'm like, son of a gun. So I grab him and, pep talking him the whole in, like, bro, like, we're not here without you. Like, what do you, like, don't beat yourself up, like, we're all in this together. So he comes in, and Hayward, gives his kind of like, just to refocus. We're all in the, like, we got here because we're the best team in baseball. Like, we did that by playing for each other, not any other reason. Let's continue to play for each other. We got each other's back. We are the best team. And like, just that messaging, it wasn't like some like run out and go get them speech. It just was very simply stated. And he didn't say a whole lot when Jay spoke. It meant something. But it was just a refocus on like how we got here. And we were the best team in Major League Baseball. Don't forget that. Even we've hit some adversity right now, it's not going to define us. And like, we had come back from 3-1, down 3 games to 1 to be in the World Series, to be in Game 7. So we fought and clawed our way back there, and we did it by supporting each other. So it just was a nice reset. And then I remember Shaw was in the game, and Schwarber walking by me. He's got his batting gloves on. I'm sitting on top deck, and he's like, this guy's going to throw me a cutter in, and I'm going to hit an absolute rocket somewhere. That's so Schwarber. And then he goes out and leads us off and hits it, I swear, it's like 2 inches to Kipnis's left, and he didn't even get his glove down. It's so hard. Then I pitch ran for him, and I think KB just missed one to deep center. Almora tagged up. They walked Riz, and then Zobrist got the big hit, right? Yeah. I'm probably missing a batter or something. But other person, Miguel Montero didn't get a lot of love. He got another added on to another run, and the rest is like, just hold on for dear life. We got young guys in there trying to get the third out. It was nuts, man.
It's never easy, right? It's never easy. It's never
Especially
easy
on that stage.
Yeah. But Rossy, what about that? I just want to know, what was that parade like, dude? Because, the curses broke, all that stuff, all these years, of the Cubs. Hey, get better luck next year, Chicago. That's what they say every year. And then finally it happens. Like, what was that parade like? Because it looked like it was absolute anarchy.
Yeah, it was chaos. Well, we got it. I mean, like Rich said, we just didn't stop partying. I need the parade to hurry up and come, because I'm not going to be able to keep this bender going. I remember walking in, like, we celebrated on the plane, and you got like, I remember sitting. I got a cool picture with my son's like laying down on the bench, and he's got his head in my wife's lap. My daughter's next to me, and Ed's next to my wife. So it's like me, Eddie Vedder, and the kids. My son's like just wiped out, like been puking all day. And we can't even get like a good family picture on the field because he can barely stand up, And he slept the whole way back. Next thing I know, like, my daughter's coming from the back of the plane, and Lester and Lackey have given her like $500, and I'm like, she's freaking 10, like, like she's never going to see that much money, They're like show kids. They're just passing out $100 bills everywhere. So, and then I went home, and my parents were there. They stayed.
I stole a hat. I was in the clubhouse with you guys at the end, and everyone's like, "Hey, here's the hats!" And I was like, I pull it right in my pocket. I was like, "I'm taking this home with me." 2016 championship. I still have. It was incredible. It's incredible.
I've got the ski cap. I just saw it today. I got the ski cap that's got the champs on it. It looks just like that. It's black. It's sick.
So great.
Yeah, man. Like, it just was, and then with the parade itself, we finally get to that, and like going out there, it was just like it was. I mean,
millions of people, right? Millions.
They said there's something like 5 million people. I don't know. You couldn't. I stepped on stage, and you couldn't even. It was just people, and then you saw the tops of trees, like at Grant Park. It just was like people, and then you'd see the tops of the tree. It was nuts, Case. It was nuts.
Oh
And
my
like,
God, dude.
yeah, man, it's just an emotional. I remember, the bus ride and Lackey and Woody and Lester. We were all in there. I've got a picture of me kissing John on the cheek, like it just like, like it's all like, wow, I can't believe it happened. And special time, man. Trying to get back now that I'm managing. I'm trying to get back to having another one of those. It was so much fun. I came back for round 2. Let's go.
Yeah. You want 7 million people next time, all the way down. Rossy, I want to go back because I'd be crazy not to go back having you here just to Boston in 2013 because that team was special, man. You and Knapp kind of driving the bus. Pedroia is an absolute maniac. You know what I mean? He's at the base. He's there at noon and taking a million grounders and he's psycho but looking back at what Big Papi did during that World Series, you could have thrown a little BB up there at 3,000 miles an hour and he would have hit it 7,000 feet. I'd never seen anything like it. What was it like for you, dude, having a front row seat watching Big Papi do what he did in that World Series?
That was such a special group. I was out for like 2 months when I had my concussion that year. So like those guys, like, I mean, we lost Joel Hanrahan was supposed to be our closer. Andrew Bailey was supposed to be our closer. Andrew Miller broke his foot, and Koji ended up being our third string. Koji ended up having one of the best second halves of anybody. But it was a grinder team, man. A lot of fun guys. But Pompey was the dude that, I mean, he that's what he lives for. I swear. I think he was at some point hitting 700, and like they were still.
He was hitting 700, like. And that's not in a game. That was like, we're at like game 5 and Wainwright's still pitching to him. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's crazy.
And it wasn't like he had, I don't want to, Victorino hit behind him a little bit. Johnny Gomes in game 5 Victorino got hurt and couldn't play, his back locked up, and Johnny protected him, ended up going deep. But it wasn't like there was some all-stars behind. We just had grinders up and down the lineup, but like they kept pitching to him. And Wainwright still, I've heard him tell a story about like he walked up to the managers like, no, I'm going to get him out. I was like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. You better walk him. You know what I mean? Like we all got big egos and we all got like, we're never going to back down from a battle. That's how we got to the big leagues. But That was one. And even when he did get out, it was a rocket somewhere. Rocket. And in that playoff, he's the one that hit the grand slam off Benoit, where Torrey Hunter almost falls over in the championship series. He hit that, and I remember like we ended up coming back winning that game, and ended up beating Detroit when they had Verlander, Scherzer,
they were loaded.
Prince Fielder. They were loaded. Miggy was on that team. Victor Martinez was on that team. They were loaded, and they brought in Benoit, and he threw a changeup to Poppy. They hit it out, bro. That was probably one of the coolest moments I've ever been part of. Like,
what was that? What was that like?
So I'm sitting on, that remember the bench they have up top, this Tito's seat?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So Farrell didn't sit in that, so I sat in that a lot, and it was Napoli was sitting next to me, and I think Demp or Peavy were on the other side. And Nap looks at me. He's like, "What if he hits a home run right here?" I was like, "If he hits a home run right here, I'm planting the kiss right on your fucking cheek." I've got a picture of us jumping up and down, and I'm like locked in on his neck. You know what I mean? Like, just like sucking away. Just two dudes like making out in front of 4,000 people. That's where I go. Like
that's so
40,000. Fenway Park. Such a. I can't believe I tell this story out loud, but it's like true. Like and I watch every year. I tell you one of my rituals. Every year I watch. We've got the World Series videos that they make. The MLB does.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Every year I pop it in and I watch it before I go to spring training. It's one of the I cry and laugh, and like it's like literally it brings me to tears every time. It reminds me of the stories, reminds me of the guys. Like it's just like the purpose and what it's about. It's so much fun to watch. I pull it out. I got the DVDs and I got a DVD player. I pop it in and watch them. It's crazy. Crazy.
Oh, that's so great, dude. It is so great, man.
Man, I've been so blessed and fortunate to be on special moments, having such a unique career and different teams and different people influencing my life. And like now to that's what I feel like my job is as a manager, be a leader and impart, remember those moments, remember the impact that guys had on me. You know, I tell my team every year, Case, and this is like, you're one of these guys. It's like, I was retired and doing TV and some stuff for like 3 years. And the one thing that stood out to me every time I ran into you or Demp or Peavy or whoever was done playing, guys, you know, Sean Green and different guys that were out of baseball that I had played with, they never talked about teammates as, remember when he got that big hit, or remember when Big Poppy did this. They talked about like how they impacted, like he taught me how to be a pro. He taught me how to have an at bat. He taught me, you know, David Ortiz had all our families over after every series at win and parties, and was everybody's invited. Just like the impact that guys made on your career. And I say that in part to like, we're here to win baseball games, absolutely, but you're influencing the guys around you to be professional, and the impact that so many guys have had on my career. I feel like it's my obligation and duty to like continue to impart that on other guys and their wisdom. So it's like we've got this fraternity that we were able to be in for a really long time. We've got to continue that, like you said, that professionalism, what it's like to be a pro, what it's like to be one of the boys, you know?
Dude, that's such an incredible point, Rossy, because I was going to bring this up, is that, you know, certain guys, and myself included, when I first came up, Greg Vaughn was over there. Oh, man, Vaughn was such a big influence on my career. Barry Larkin, such a big influence on my career. Like some of these guys, I'm so grateful to them forever for what they did. And so, hey, man, I look at my career and go, I lucked out. When I was on that team, I had some veteran guys that took me under their wing, that gave a shit, and they showed me how to be a pro. And when I look at when I look at guys like Rizzo, and guys like Schwarber, because I already know they talk about Schwarber in the Phillies clubhouse. Hey, man, that guy's the leader. That guy, you know, is one of the best dudes in the clubhouse. He leads the way. You know, same thing with Rizzo. Anywhere Riz goes, now he's in the Yankees. But I know it's the David Rosses and the Johnny Lesters and the guys that passed the buck and paid it forward. And I just think that's the greatest thing. So, like, dude, for you, Rossy, man, for the career that you had and the things that you've done, but also, like you said, the impact that you've had on a lot of guys that now are a big part of the game, and the impact that you'll have on guys now as the manager of the Cubs. I agree, man. If I ever get back into the game, that will be the reason I want to get back in the game too, is to hopefully impact some dudes the way that some guys did me.
Yeah, man, I think that's what it's all about. And if you ever want to get back in the game, you better call me first.
I'll call you.
Let's go. All
right, buddy. You all right? I don't know. I know you're doing the dad thing, and you've had a phenomenal career. But like anybody who's ever been around you is better for it, my friend. And
thanks, dude.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. Impacting each other, impacting human beings, trying to make our sport continue to be the best sport in all of in the whole world, really, man. Like we're blessed to be able to play that game. I know we all think that, and we're very fortunate to. I'm very fortunate, especially with the shitty skill set I have. You know,
dude,
just
you did the most
behind the mask. See, I got to hide behind the mask, hitting the 8-hole. You know. I don't know. Some of my managers might have DH'd for my ass if I'd have been if the rules would have been in there for that.
Oh, so good, dude. Rossy, the last thing we do is a little segment called 9 and 90. Chinch comes up with 9 dumb questions, and we just kind of have a good time with it. I'll answer first, you answer second, and then bam, we're rolling to spring training, bro.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right, Chinch, go ahead.
I'll do the best I can.
I will. Here we go. This is a tough list, and first and foremost, if you don't mind me just saying, David, I know how much your time is very, very busy, and the fact that you two guys being such good friends to be a fly on the wall for this has been amazing, and thank you so much for your time. Before we get going,
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'd run through a wall for Case. So
all right.
Whatever. If you know, he's like, hey, I got this awesome pie. He was telling me about when we golfed together. I was like, that's fine. He bought me beers and bought me wings.
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
When you impact the young guys, it's like now I'm obligated to Case because he simply bought me some wings. You know?
Right.
It's so true.
Right.
So true.
All right, here we go. First one is very tough. The second you stepped onto the grass of each of these fields for the first time as a pro ball player, Sean, which location took your breath away more, Wrigley Field or Fenway Park?
You know what? For me, it was Wrigley, just because the Ivy, and I played there a lot, playing in the NL Central. I think Wrigley initially for me I was so young when I played there, and the Ivy was incredible.
And I answer the same one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I went to a game in the Cape Cod League, and I walked in through the stands, and it was Fenway. The Green Monster hit me right in the face, man. That thing, you walk up, and it's just so massive, and you're in this little city. I love the thing that stood out to me about Wrigley when I was a player. I first walked out there, and I'm walking out to the bleachers were packed, right? They used to come for BP, and we're fixing to go. Remember the cages used to be
Cages are on the right field corner,
yeah, under right field. So I'm walking out, and I don't know if we got time for this, but I'm walking out, and it's Sean Green, Paul LaDuca, and myself walking out to hit. They're like, "Oh, Sean Green, you stink. Blah. LaDuca, you're short. You're terrible. Blah. Hey, you go put on your jersey so we know who you are." They couldn't even heckle me. They didn't know I was yet.
A humbling moment, Rossy.
Humbling moment. Yeah. The two veterans loved it. That's for sure.
There you go.
So good.
All right, next one's a little easier. Rank these 90s bands from least awesome to most awesome, Sean. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Green Day, and Soundgarden.
Oh, wow. I'd say Green Day, Soundgarden, and the Chili Peppers would I love the Chili Peppers. I love all those bands, but Chili Peppers are one.
I'm more of a country guy, so I'm more Chili Peppers would be on the top of that list. So yeah, they'd be number one.
Okay.
And then probably Green Day in the middle, and then I didn't
Soundgarden.
Yeah, wasn't not my jam. I'm more like
You're more like never went down to Georgia.
Yeah, there you go. This is an interesting one.
Rossy,
Okay.
Wait, I got one really quick.
Go ahead, Case.
I don't know if Rossy, were you there when Hank Williams came in the clubhouse in Cincy?
Yes.
Dude,
What?
Tell that story, bro.
He hung out in the training room all day and was trying to get us on his private jet to the next concert. We're like, wait a minute, he was playing over at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it in Pittsburgh? Yeah, he's just hanging out in there. He's got like snake skins at like a rat food thing, and there's like dream catchers coming from his ear. I mean, this guy like walked in.
Dream
Holy cow, that's Hank Williams Jr. That was sick.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And he was everybody was talking to him. Donner was in there.
Yeah, Dunner said he got him a Jack and Coke, and he goes, Hank, got you a Jack and Coke for the game. He goes, son, you're going straight to heaven.
Awesome.
I forgot about that story. That's great.
That's a good one.
So great.
Oh,
so
man.
great.
All right, this one I'm interested in. True or false, Sean? When you had a good game as a player, would you go home and watch highlights of yourself?
Oh, 100%. I remember, and the worst was when early on in my career, I remember one of my first big games was in Montreal, and I went to watch I'm like, okay.
Yeah, nobody was doing a Reds Expos games was not airing.
There was no ESPN. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But yeah, if you raked, I was definitely like, I would be up till 4 a.m. watching the reruns of baseball tonight.
What about you, Rossi?
Yeah. Yeah, I would stay up. I'm like Case. I'd stay up for ESPN, but I was such a no-name player. I'd be 4 for 4 with 4 homers.
Oh, and you wouldn't get in a highlight?
I wasn't getting the highlight. I would get like 4 for
Screwed
4
up.
at the bottom. You know, the little box.
Yeah. No, I get it. Dude, I was a producer.
Griffey would get the highlight, or whoever, making a great player.
No, Griffey could go 0 for 4 and they would show all his at-bats. That's so funny. You nailed it, dude. You're so right.
Later in life, now they got social media and stuff for sure. Like I watch my players' highlights. Like I'll sit out there, like I'm a fan. Like guy makes a great play, I'll watch it over and over again. I love it.
Very cool, awesome. Very cool. This is a very difficult question. Better athlete, Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders?
Oh, wow. Well, freaking Rossi's from Tallahassee. I know what he's going to say.
The dog's even pissed.
I have to say one thing, because Rossi will love this story, bro. We're playing the White Sox, and I'm hitting I'm hitting third or whatever, and I the game before, I must have taken my batting gloves up to my locker. Usually I put them in my helmet. So I'm getting ready to hit, and I'm like, oh, shit, I don't have my batting gloves. They're up in my locker. So I go running up, and Comiskey, boom. I grab my batting gloves in my locker. Well, Dion's on the team. You know, Prime's on the team in 2001. We had Griffey and Prime on the same team. It was a circus, dude. People were like,
man.
It's when Griffey was like Jordan, right? So I turn around, Rossy. I'm about to head out. No one's in the clubhouse, bro. But over in Dion's locker, Prime's sitting there talking to Bo Jackson. And I'm like a fly on the wall. And now I'm about to be up, but I'm like,
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving here.
I'm not leaving this. Are you kidding me? So I'm like, I kind of moseying over. I'm waiting for Prime to like call me over, and he does. He's like, Case, have you ever met Bo before? I'm like, it was like the first time I was speechless in my life, Rossy. I know it sounds like, man, it's so nice to meet you. Bo knows football, baseball, everything. He knows everything, you know? And Prime's like, you know, and then him and Prime are just talking, dude, sitting down, having a conversation. I actually had to leave, but I was like, the one time, I had no camera, I had no cell phone, no picture, but I have that memory, dude, of Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders just sitting there talking. I'm gonna have to call a push on this one because these guys were both
I think
incredible.
You gotta go tie.
If we can call a push, like I've got, so Deion, I grew up in Tallahassee and watched primetime here, and my mom worked for FSU. I still had season tickets to their games. And I went to Auburn, so I grew up a Deion Sanders fan, and I went to Auburn. I had the poster. With
the bat. We talked about it yesterday on our show. Shoulder pads and a bat.
Yeah,
greatest.
I used to have that thing. I mean, what a stud! I'll tell you, I got to do an alumni game, and we went back to a home run derby. Me, Tim Hudson, and Bo Jackson were all on the same team at a little like function. This was probably about 8 years ago. 10 years ago when I was still playing, but and he was older. He still does Bo Bikes family. He's got a big charity event, so he comes around. But I tell you a funny story. Deion's like that one, especially now where he's so giant. He was eating breakfast. I had my whole family in Atlanta. They all always come up. We went to at the hotel breakfast and went up there and started to eat. And Deion was sitting down with 2 other gentlemen eating breakfast. And it's the first time in a really long time that I didn't have the balls to go up and say hi to somebody.
Wow.
Can you believe that? I didn't even go up and introduce. I just like, that's Deion Sanders. Should I go say hey? Should I not?
Come on, dude.
I'm a fan. I'm the manager of the Cubs, and I can't even go say hey.
Oh my God!
What are we doing? Hey, what are we doing?
Dude,
hey,
are you kidding me?
Rossy,
Dude, I want to punch you. I want to punch you right in the face.
What am I doing? It's just one of those, like, I was such a fan. I was like, I don't want to bother him. He looked big, all that.
Dude, Rossy, have you ever met Prime?
No.
Dude,
no.
He is. Everyone always asks me, what was he like? Dude, he's like the greatest guy. He would have been so excited to meet you. He's the nicest guy and one of the quietest guys in the clubhouse. Literally one of the quietest guys in the clubhouse. But you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
I'm flying to Boulder right now. You're going to see me on his Instagram in like 3 days.
Yeah. What's Rossy doing in Deion's office? He's vacuuming.
How's he not at spring training yet? Why is he in Boulder, Colorado?
Oh my God, this is great. All right, I'm gonna cut these down. I'm just gonna do 2 more, and they're kind of inside jokes. So real quick, which of these talk show hosts is the best at his or her job? Jimmy Kimmel, Drew Barrymore, Jimmy Fallon, or Ryan Dempster?
Oh man, well we got to go with Demp, right? we got to give Dempy some love because I think Dempy could hang with all those guys, man.
Yeah.
Freaking, he's just making his mark off the mound.
Off the mound.
He's crushing it. Dempy's crushing it. I love me some Fallon, but it doesn't get any better. When you're on Dempy's show, he takes care of you. He's off the cuff.
And the production value he puts into that thing with the neon in the background. He's got the stage set. He's got
the band. He's got the band.
That's a talented human being. Like
he's great.
You can't put him in a situation where he's not going to shine. I swear. I swear.
He's just annoyingly too likable. All right, last one. In one word, Sean, describe Kevin Millar.
Zesty.
Sounds like a spice.
The Kevin Millar spice. Zesty.
Oh, one word for Millar. He's a dude, man. Just like it doesn't matter. You're around that dude. He's a good human. He's welcoming. He let me stay at his house when All-Star break and ride his jet skis for 3 days. And play with the kids. Like we didn't play together. You know what I mean? It's just like he's a man's man. He's a dude. He's one of the boys. He's the best. Like there's so many words.
So 70 words. You're a son, more 70 words.
Hey, I can go second, so I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, that's
when you're the guest, you don't have to stick to the rules.
That's true. That's true. All right, I'm done, Case.
All right, Chinchy, thank you, brother. Rossy, brother, I love you, man. Thanks for taking the time. I know your head's spinning this offseason all over the place. Dude, I can't wait to see you out at the park at some point. Hopefully I'll see you at spring training. Maybe we even grab dinner, but I hope to see you at the yard. And good luck this season, dude. Kick some ass, and I hope you guys win the whole thing and you can get that big parade one more time.
Thanks, pal. I appreciate that. Love you, too. I'll definitely hit you up when we go to Pittsburgh. If you're in town, we'll golf or get dinner or something. Yeah,
100%. 100%. Right. Okay, man. Take care of yourself,
appreciate
brother.
You, boys.
Thank you, man. Dude, awesome, right? I mean, I'm telling you, bro, like, you look back at Rossy's career, storybook, man, storybook. You know, comes up with the Dodgers, you know, gets traded over to the Red Sox. They win the whole thing. He's a big part of it. Then he gets traded to the Cubs to be Lester's guy. They break the curse 2016. Everyone's doing it for Grandpa Rossy. We didn't even talk about Dancing with the Stars. He won Dancing with the Stars.
Oh my God, we didn't even get to Dancing with the Stars.
But it was too much to talk about. I have 17 pages of notes.
Oh, great job, dude.
I got the 2 pages, but you know, he won Dancing with the Stars. He's one of the best dudes the game of baseball's ever seen. And I'm serious. Like, I've played with a lot of guys. I know a lot of guys. It's a small fraternity, like he said. David Ross is one of the greatest human beings the game's ever seen.
I mean, obviously, and geez, I'm sorry I brought it up a couple times during the show, but like the fact that he gave you that much time, it just like he doesn't have that much.
No.
And talk about humility. The manager of the Chicago Cubs was intimidating going up to walk to interrupt somebody for lunch. That's why he's the manager of the Cubs. That's why he's such a good guy. That's why all the things you're talking about is because of the humility and a way to. I think what he's done. I remember when they were playing as being a broadcaster and that Cubs team that year. It was like all of a sudden, like, it wasn't like just viral that David Ross was like the center of the attention. It was like understandable, and just listening to you talk to your friend as him as a human being and listening to, like, he deserved all of that year. You know, like, it's not like, this guy just stepped in shit. Like he was getting 13 years of work that was finally being understood for who he was. And obviously he was even that much of a next level that he became, like, dude, we watched Jeff Saturday become the head coach of the Colts. And everybody's like, what is this? When David Ross became the manager of the Cubs, nobody said, oh, what is this?
People were waiting for it. We were waiting for it. As soon as Ross retired, we're like, all right, when's he going to be the manager of the Cubs?
It was, this makes sense. It wasn't like, this guy's never managed before. It was like, no, David Ross is going to be one of the best managers in probably the history of this game, hopefully, once it's all said and done, I think. I'm sure.
Oh, there's no doubt, dude. And the Cubs are starting to get him the pieces he needs, I mean, at the end of the day. So, great interview, man. A great friend.
Great job, Sean. Great job.
I'm grateful for this show, bro. The fact that we can bring buddies on like this and we can kind of go deep and ask them questions that we feel like, maybe you don't get it somewhere else. So keep tuning into the mayor's office. If you want to get, listen up. The fact, like I said, it's a small fraternity, man. It is. We've made a lot of friends over the years. It's fun to bring them on and have everybody listen into these conversations.
Dude, that was an hour and 10-minute interview with arguably the greatest manager in baseball right now. So that's a testament to you as a person. He loves you. Jeez, kiss your ass a little bit too. How'd that feel? How's that feel? Cubs manager kisses your ass.
It felt great.
All right, everybody. Let's keep it to that.
So fun. All right, man. Chinchy, I love you, brother. Thank you, man. And everyone out there, hopefully everybody enjoyed this podcast. If you did, man, like us, subscribe, download, and pay it forward and pass this on to your friends. And we'll see you tomorrow. See you, buddy.